Hello, welcome back to Exploring Multimedia Art with Pd-L2Ork. I'm Dr. Lawrence W. Moore, your host. In this episode, we're continuing on with data structures, but we're going to make something that is audio responsive. In other words, our audio triggers it to do something visually. Last time we basically made a visual interface for creating like a simple audio sound and being able to manipulate it. Now we're going the other direction. And in this, I'll also be able to show you two new drawing commands, basically path, and then the way you can use coordinates to change and create a little bit more of like an interaction in real time changes in your data structures. So anyway, let's get on with it. All right, so here we are. I'm gonna make a new Pd-L2Ork patch file, new, and I am going to save this right away. So this actually has a home. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and it should be the folder that I'm displaying over here. But I guess I don't really need to show that. Let's just browse to it. Okay, Documents. I put my Pd-L2Ork stuff in a separate folder from the PD stuff now. Okay, and I'm going to call this audio-reactive face. And that's what we're making. We're going to make a very simple face. In fact, it's going to look more like a smiley, but we're going to make this smiley audio-reactive to the voice. All right, I just want to give myself a little bit of space here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a separate window. This is the main patch. This is going to be for controlling this thing or patching what we need to patch. And then I'm making an object at the bottom of here. I'm going to type in PD face. So this is a sub patch, but basically this is where our smiley is going to be. So smiley gets to be in a patch all by itself. Okay, there we go. And we'll see how that can be utilized later to our advantage. All right. So here we're going to start off making a new data structure. Struct. I'm going to call it smiley. Just want to make sure it's a term that's not in use by anything else or not going to be. Float X, float Y. And we don't need to put in any more than that for this, for what we're making here. All right, so let's make our basic smiley, starting with the face. And that's going to be draw circle. And when you're doing a circle, the next number you put is the radius of the circle. Let's say 200. And the next thing is the point of origin of that circle, which means the center of the circle will be here. Let's say 0, 0. That'll help us orient ourselves better. Now for this circle, I'll make a message box here to say fill yellow, making a standard smiley here. And let's put a stroke around the outside. 000 means black. And it's going to be a stroke width 10. Now we see all these things are kept separated by commas because I'm basically putting in 3 different attribute messages for our circle here. And then we can pump that through. Now let's put in the circle over here in this window. This is going to be smiley, the name of the data structure. And we want to move it in to the center of the window for now. Later I'll show you like, when you put it in full screen and put this in the center, it'll look pretty cool. There we go. So that's our 5, what did I say, 10? Stroke width 10. And so this is a 10 pixel wide border around a yellow circle that has a 200 radius. So its center is 0, 0, and it goes out 200 pixels to each direction. So it's really 400 pixels wide. It would be the diameter. Okay, so anyway, this will be something to put on a load bang. I just created an object, and but I did it while I still had this screen selected. So I put it in that window. You want to go over here and go load bang. This is something we want initiated when the patch loads. Okay. There'll probably be more things to be load banged as well. Now, let's put in some eyes. So, we're going to use circles for that to start. I got some ideas here. So this is 0, 0, right in the center of the circle. So when you're going up in PD, that's going into the negatives in the y coordinates. And the positives of the y coordinates are going down. So this is like negative 200 up here, y coordinate wise. And then to the left is the negatives for x coordinates. So since we want to put an eye somewhere around here, I'm going to estimate, how about 75 negative x and 75 negative y. Let's see how that looks. So we're going to draw a circle. Its radius is going to be, I think, about 20. We'll see how that looks. And then its origin points will be, as I explained, negative 75x, negative 75y. Now we should see a black circle appear. We don't need to put any stroke on it or change its color at all. That's your standard eye for a yellow smiley face. Okay. I'm going to put another circle. I'm going to put it here for the next eye. And that's literally going to be the same y-axis. So the negative 75 for y, but it's going to be positive 75 for x, which pops it right over here. There we go. That looks fairly decent. Now I'm going to add a little feature to this. It's called blinking. And what we're going to do is make a message here. Put it inside here, where I want these to be able to disappear and then reappear. And that's done with the command fill dash opacity 0 for disappear. And then basically we can copy the same message and put in 1 reappear. That basically its opacity is going from 0 to 1, which means on or off. You can go in between, like a 0.9 would be 90% opaque. And we want to be able to do this to both. So I'm going to hook up the messages to both of the eyes. Okay. And we're going to put in some patching to trigger this, but just so you can see it for now, fill opacity 0. Didn't work. Must have typed something wrong. Oh, that's fill opacity 1. Here's the 0. There we go. So yes, it does work. Now we don't want them to just disappear. We're going to put something into place. And that's where we're going to start working with the path method of drawing. I just want to show you here in the help browser where that's at. First of all, it's under the Pd-L2Ork data structures, tutorials, and there's one called path. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Now this could be kind of complicated. You see here, draw a path, and there's a lot of numbers, a little bit of letters in there. And this is basically commands to draw this. Okay, and then it gets filled in and with a stroke around the outside. So here there's a useful link because it says, you know, it's a complex set of commands. Well, it's not necessarily complex set. It just can get long because really you're drawing out a path of lines and curves and different types of curves and ellipses and stuff, or ellipticals, actually they call it. Basically, and this thing here is not Pd-L2Ork itself. It's just that Pd-L2Ork uses some of these XML commands to execute this drawing method called path that's part of it. In fact, its data structures draws upon XML, or yeah, it's XML scripting here for a lot of what it does, you know. And so here, this is really designed for web designers because it's at w3.org, which is like worldwideweb.org, which kind of puts out a lot of information about the HTML standards, XTML and CSS and all sorts of things for that form of scripting, or these areas of scripting that largely deal with web design. But basically, like here's some simple commands here in path, and the symbols, like the letters, are basically commands of what to do, and the numbers are coordinates for doing it. And there's a table down here as you go further down of the commands that you have. And notice that the commands have an uppercase and lowercase version for a lot of them. Like move to. M uppercase means move. It's almost like lift up your pencil and place it here. And when you make it a capital M, you're giving it definite coordinates. When you use the lowercase m, it's relative coordinates. And we're going to see that as I make this stuff here. So that's kind of like lift up your pencil and put it here. And then in drawing things, well, this is the close path. You put that at the end. Actually, you don't even really have to. still does it anyway. But there's things like line, like this is where you draw a line. Uppercase L means you're going to put in the coordinates. Like let's say you put an M00 and you're at 00, and then you put a capital L 100, 100. Well, it's going to make a diagonal line from 00 down to 100, 100. It look kind of like this. Basically, all it's expecting after an L is where to go to. Now, you could also say 100, 100 with the lowercase l, because literally when you're starting at 0, 0, you're going to end up at the same spot because you're already at a specific location where if you go 100 on the x-axis and 100 on the y-axis, you still end up at 100, 100 because you're starting at 0, 0. But there's horizontal lines, so there you just need to put in an x value of where you're going to horizontally, vertical lines, and you see they have their uppercase and lowercase versions. And then come the curves. C is for a Bezier curve, and S is for more of a shorthand curve. S, we're going to be using this, where basically we put in coordinates for where the curve curves to, and then where it ends up relative where you started from. The Bezier curve is a little bit more complex because you put in two sets of focal points for the curve and giving it its shape. And then they have drawing examples down here that you can kind of see what the command is using curve, what the command is using shorthand curve to make these different this overall shape. The Bezier curve, basically you're putting in two sets of coordinates to say where the control points of the curves are and then where they end up. I think both of these start here, and so it's saying here's your one point, here's your next point for the second half of the curve. Bezier curve is like a curve that has two halves to it. Of course, you don't have to cut it in half. Basically, your focal points help determine its shape, and see you can get all sorts of shapes with the Bezier curve. But anyway, not to overwhelm that. Then as it goes on, there's more types of curve. I just wanted to show you where this reference is. And in the drawing things that we have, other than circles and ellipses, this is pretty much our way of getting curves, because polygons are made of straight lines and stuff like that. So, any case, let's make these guys disappear. And we're going to draw in, using path, two more. Draw path. Now what I'm literally want to make is kind of like a blinked eye, where we just have a curve here going down. But it needs to be in place of where the open eye is, basically. So we have one eye that's at -75, -75, and 20 is its radius. So that means at this point, -75, -75, it's going outwards 20 to the right, to the left, above, and below. So that's its center point. Now, when we're drawing this curve, we're going to actually we're going to draw it left to right a little bit away from the center point. So we would have to start at -95 to go further left on the x-axis, and still keep it at -75 y coordinate. So I'm going to put in here, draw path, capital M for move directly to this position, 95 x and -75 y. So where that would be is, if we see the eye here, we're trying to locate ourselves right here. And then we're going to draw a little curve down. Okay, so let's put this back to off. And now to see this, we got to put a stroke on it. You can also put fills on it, but to make this look the way we want to, I'm just going to put a stroke on it. 0, 0, 0, so it's black, comma, stroke, hyphen width is going to be, let's go with, let's see how 20 looks. That may not look right. I might need to make it 10. I'm thinking 10 probably is what I'm going to need, but we'll see. Now, since all we did so far is just say where to move to, like I said, lift up your pencil and place it here, there's nothing to show. So as we add more coordinates, then there will be. So what we're going to do, we're starting from like where the side of the eye is going to be, and we're going to use a capital S for a shorthand curve. And basically we want it to curve down to, see, we're starting at negative 95, comma, negative 75 here. We're going to be going down about 20 pixels in, both on the x-axis and 20 pixels down on the y-axis. So that would be shorthand, okay, 75x, negative 75x, and the y coordinates, since we're going down, it's going to make it negative 55 because of how the things work. Now for this kind of curve, you need to also say where it ends up. This is kind of like where it curves down to, like the climax point of the curve, and then where does it end up is the coordinates you put afterwards. And so that's 20 more pixels over on the x-axis. So now we'll be at negative 55x, and back up to negative 75 on the y-axis. There we go. We see what we've just drawn. Now, I'm going to do something here. Before I make the next one, and actually I'm running out of space here. Maybe I should move you down here because there we go. This is on and this is off, so we'll keep these both on the same side because this needs to be off in order for this to be on. Let's do this. Let's make a bang. I made a slider. Control Shift B. Okay. I'm going to put you over here just so you're out of the way. Now let me hit this. Now I want to hit the opposite. You see, it's like a 10 pixel stroke, but it's doing it on this side and that side. But let me look at it to see if it looks all right when we undo the blink. Because now what we have to do is we need to add a command to this. Okay, hold on now. Just a second. This is a command that's going to be on no matter what, because this is going to be its properties. So I am, yeah, let's move this down a bit. That one's going to get load banged too. We're going to also, or no, you know what? We can put this in here. We need to put the fill opacity in here, comma, fill opacity 1. All right. Now we need to make this thing. Actually, what we can do is just say for this blinked eye. Hold on. When I put on the circle, doesn't it just cover it up? No, I see it sticking out to the side a little bit, but actually that looks more like a real eye. I may not have to make this disappear. In other words, just turning these off and on might just do it. But let me make the second eye first of all here. I'm going to copy and paste this because really it's going to be the same things except we're starting at a different location. In this case, we're going left to right, so we're going to start at negative 55. No, positive 55x and negative 75y. And then let's just draw this using the relative location. Like basically, if we use the lowercase s, we're saying our curve point is going to be at 75x and negative 55y. And then, oh, wait a minute, that's exact coordinates. No. If we're doing a lowercase s, we got to say how far over. It's 20 pixels over to the right. So we just say positive 20 because that means we're going to the right. Because x, when you say positive 20, you're moving relatively 20 points to the right. If we had negative 20, we'd be moving to the left. See, this is relative, so we're not putting in exact, when we use lowercase s, we're not putting in exact coordinates. We're saying where they are in relationship to where we started, using the capital M to put us here. So we want it 20 pixels to the right and 20 pixels down, where it would be a positive 20 in this case for the y. And then it's going to be ending up at what coordinates? Now, this is still relative positioning. It's overall going to be 40 over and 0 y, because it curves right back up to where it was. All right. And then let's hook you up so we could actually see it. And then we're turning these off and then hook these up. There we go. That's how it looks like when they're blinking and unblink. Maybe I do want to move these in a little bit. But let me see here. Do I like the thickness of that? Yeah, the thickness of it is fine. It just hangs out a little bit over, it's the corner edge of the curve here. Maybe. Oh, interestingly enough, if we use the lowercase s over here, it would really be the same as over here. Because remember, it's 20 pixels over, 20 pixels down, ends up at 40, 0, because it's still going to be the relative position. See how it looks the same? So yeah, that's the difference between the capitals and the lower cases. Basically, we're drawing stuff. And now what I'm going to do is let's experiment with our stroke. Width is 10. How does 5 look? That looks all right. Now let me see when they blink. You see a little bit of bumps over here. But what we can do to adjust for that is pretty easy. Since our stroke is 5, if we alter these by 5, we'll be all right. So in this side, it's going to start at negative 90x. We don't have to adjust the y at all. It's just the x coordinates. Negative 90x, so it stays inside the circle there. And it is going to curve down to because now overall our thing is going to go 30. So let's say 15. And then over here, 30. Now let's unblink, see how that looks. And then turn the eye open. Now we're inside the circle. Okay. Now, do the same thing here. Instead of moving over to 55, we're going to have to move over 5 pixels more. 60. Oh, negative 75 is fine. Shorthand. We're doing a 15 and a 30. Y coordinates stay the same because things weren't hanging over that way. Okay. So now I'm going to just link these back and forth a little bit. All right. Cool. Now we're going to set up a mechanism for making these blinks happen. Not a number box. We're going to put a receive here because I'm going to probably make a sub patch for this. Receive, and we don't need to bother with $zeros. This is not going to be multiples put in patch somewhere. Receive blink on, and this is going to be blink off. Receive blink off. And we can get rid of this bang because we're not really using it anymore. I thought we were going to have to hide and unhide the blinked eyes, but they fit in the circles pretty well that you never have to have them disappear. I thought we were going to have to do double triggerings of messages to take away their opacity. Okay, so now let's set up. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I hit Control W. Hey, let's save just to be safe. Control S. Now, why did it shrink this down? Highly unnecessary. Okay, let's make a sub patch here to execute some blinking. So make an object, type PD, and we'll say blinking. All right. And this is what we can do for this, because it'd be nice if this face just blinked every now and then, you know, kind of like humans do. What we're going to do is set up a random, because it shouldn't be like at a rhythmically steady interval. That would just look wrong. So let's say something like random 8. All this does is generates a number between 0 and 8, I believe. And there might actually be floating point possibilities as well. That's okay with me. Yeah, you bang it and you get a random number each time it gets banged. Okay. I did not mean to edit this. Stop. No, don't save. Okay. So, and when is it going to be banged to do this stuff? Well, we'll need to give it an initial load bang, but we're going to use Metro to bang it. Default value will be 1000 milliseconds. So every 1 second, it will bang this. Now remember, Metro needs to be turned on. You can do that with a toggle. Make an object, type a toggle. And well, actually, that's if you want to just trigger it. All we need to do is make a message of a 1. That turns on a Metro. That's what toggles do. They send out a 1 when you check them off. And we're going to have a load bang so that it starts right from the beginning. So it turns on Metro, and in 1 second it'll blink. Well, not blink, but it'll create a random number. We need to do 2 things though. There's a bang that comes out of here. And we're going to extend it into 3 bangs. You can actually just draw 3 patch cables. You don't have to make a trigger bang, 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 but I prefer to because it organizes my patch cables better. Well, one thing that's going to happen is it triggers random to come up with another random number between 0 and 8. Now, we need to set a minimum to that, plus 1. And then multiply it by 1000 because Metro exists in milliseconds, not plus, times. And we're going to put a number box here just so you can see what's going on, like what kind of numbers we're getting. And these numbers are going to feed back into Metro so that the next blink will come at a time generated by random 0 to 8. This plus 1 means it's going to be 1 to 9 now. Times 1000 means it'll be between 1 and 9 seconds. So the next blink won't be steadily, exactly 1 second or 2 seconds later. It'll be somewhat randomized. All right. And now what do we have to do here? We want to send out this bang here to blink on. That means the blink gets executed. It hides the circle eyes, and we see the blinked eyes. Okay. And now here we're going to have send blink off. But this is going to be at a delay remember, the eyes need to open again, you know? And how soon should they open? Should we do another random? Yeah, why not? Yeah. Because how long they say blink closed. Well, blinks tend to be fast. So let's just make it like about a half a second. So what we're going to do is delay 500 milliseconds, the bang going out to blink off to turn the blinks off again. Now we need to start this whole process by hitting this. Now let's look at our eyes. Okay, had to wait a little long for that one. Now we're getting randomized numbers here. It looks like we are getting integer values. So it's exact seconds. Maybe I can do this. Let's randomize it to 9 seconds is a little bit long to wait for a blink. Let's say, since it's doing integers, let's just go into the thousands right away. Let's say 7,000 plus 1,000, and then we can get rid of our multiplier here. This might make maybe a little bit more variety in how long it waits to blink. Okay, let's look at it. What kind of numbers are we getting? Okay, so it's not exactly rounded off seconds, but they are generally a little long to wait for. So let's do it 6,000. Oh, come on. Random 6,000. Yeah, now they're blinking a little bit more often. Okay, I think we're good with that. You get the idea. I mean, you can play around with numbers to see, you know, what what's going to go on and what's not going to go on and all that. Now, I need to put in another mechanism here to stop it, because there's going to be an instance that I already have in my mind when you're going to want to stop the blinking. And this zero message will basically do that, basically shut off Metro until it receives something to turn it back on again. So yeah, we do want it load banged so the blinking starts when the patch opens, but then we're going to have commands to do this. This is going to receive start blinking. And this is going to receive a command. Stop blinking. There'll be a time when I'll want to stop it and start it up again in the patch. Okay, so that'll be able to stop it and then start it up again. Now, this delay here, yeah, the amount of time should probably be a little bit more varied. So I am going to have the delay time watch this. I'm going to add, just because of my anality, I am going to add another bang to this. Because I just like to see separation of the patch cables, you know. And okay, I'm going to move this down further. We should randomize how long it takes for the eye to open again, just a bit. Let's say maximum 500 milliseconds. So we'll say random 400 plus 100. So now it's basically between 100 and 500 milliseconds. And yeah, might as well see the output of that. We'll put a number box on it. Okay, let go. All right. Now that hasn't happened yet. Oh, well, we also need to bang the delay. Oh, that is hooked up. What was I putting in here that needed to be hit? This, the random. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, indeed. And let's move it over a little bit to make it look better. There. So now we are getting random numbers. So our blinking should look a little bit more natural. Okay. Could always play around with numbers later and see. All right. So anyway, that's our sub patch for the regular blinking. And we can leave it like this is all eye stuff right here. We'll leave it right up here, part of the eye stuff. Now we're going to make a mouth. And what we're going to do is use path again. And it's going to be down here. So let's say this is 75 pixels above the center. Let's put about 75 pixels below the center. So that would be positive 75y. And this will be negative 75x for the left side of the mouth. Draw a path. Use a capital M to move to negative 75x, positive 75y. See, after all these path commands I've used, this thing remembers things. If you ever want to get rid of them, you could just hit Control Y one time, and then you hit it a second time, and it takes it out of the list. I might even just turn off autofill, because after a while that just gets ridiculous to manage, your autofill. So anyway, that's where we want to start this thing. And then we're going to go in a horizontal line, lowercase h. We want to go all the way over to the other 75, positive 75 on the other side, which would be, the center of the eye here. So we're basically going to go 150 pixels. Lowercase h means relative positioning, and when you're saying horizontal line, all you need to do is put in the x coordinates. So next, we're going to do a curve because what we made so far, even though it's not appearing yet, we just started here and did a horizontal line over here. Now we're going to do the curve down here for the mouth. Okay, so the shorthand curve. That mouth is going to go back to the left, and halfway through is where it should curve down. So let's say -75, because it's 150 wide, the whole mouth. So right in the middle, -75. That means 75 x coordinates to the left, because we're using a lowercase s. Its relative positioning. And then its y will be 150. And then its ending up coordinates are basically 150 over and 0 on the y-axis. Okay. Well, that's not exactly what I thought. The m didn't get me to where I wanted to be. -75x, +75y. This looks right. I mean, that's where this eye is. Well, the center of it at least. You know, the circular eyes, the center is at -75 by -75, but we want to be positive 75 on the y-axis to be down. Sorry, I hit a shortcut there. Let's see. Horizontal. Let's do, instead of relative coordinates, let's do exact coordinates. So basically it'll be at +75 by, yeah, still going way out over here. Oh, something ain't right here. Hold on. Let's also do this. It's filling, but but there's something wrong, man. This is a capital M, one space, -75 by +75 on the y-axis. Let's do a horizontal line. Let's use an L, and then we have to put in two coordinates. Basically, it's supposed to start on -75 by 75, and it's going to go over to +75 by 75. And then let's do exact coordinates with a capital S here for the shorthand. Curve, and it's going to basically, our curve down point is going to be 0 on the x-axis and 150 on the y-axis. And then we end up right where we started from, which would be -75, 75. Okay. There we go. I don't know what I was doing wrong over here. Yeah, brain farts are always possible. Okay. Well, that's going to be how it kind of looks in a steady state. But this is going to be moving. We're going to move this down to put in the stuff to move it. And we're going to move it by sending another command. We're going to leave fill in, but we're going to put in at the beginning of fill another command. It's going to be the D command. And I'll show you this in the reference manual in just a bit. Whoa, what happened? What the heck is going on? Okay, D command. This is where we could put in a different set of coordinates. But actually, I'm going to keep them the same, except for the y-axis of the curve. 0, that 150, I'm going to put in $1 so we can use a variable to change it. What this D command does, and this is with path, is it will give path a new set of coordinates. So you can change your path with sending this message. But all we want to do is send a different y coordinate there, which means the mouth will go down varying distances. But let's still do a comma fill 0, 0, 0. So every time this gets executed, it is going to give us something that's filled, just to be on the safe side. Come on. There we go. So let's put in 100. You see, the $1 is a variable that's receiving whatever we put here. Let's put in 200. There we go. You see, we can change basically the width of the mouth. Now, how do we want it to change? This is how we're going to do that. Okay, we're going to take in our ADC signal from our left inlet. ADC tilde. And it's going to be the left inlet, which is our channel 1. And we're sending it to our good old friend env. But I am going to make the envelope a size 16384 by 8192 has been working well for me. Both power of 2 numbers, this one half of this one. That seems to work out pretty well for what we're using this for, which is to change lines. Now let's see what comes out here from our EMV. Now our DSP is not on. That is something this load bang will also have to address. Well, you can always make multiple load bangs rather than using the same one. Load bang to a message semicolon, enter PD DSP 1 semicolon. Now let's turn this on now. Okay, so our EMV is giving us, now I checked the help file again, and basically it's giving us RMS values expressed in dB, where 100 is clipping. And so when I stop talking, my not so quiet room has me at like 42, 43. So we're getting kind of like a range of 43, and clipping will be at 100. Don't want to do that, but could reach it, you know. Now how does that transfer to how wide we want this mouth to get? Well, let's just hook it up directly and see what we get. Well, it's curving upwards. Now when I talk, it starts to curve downwards. But yeah, we're going to have to put in basically a Y value that is minimum 75. Okay. So what we can do, my lowest value seems to be somewhere around 40 something. So depending on what your gain set to, this could be different. So you might want to adjust what you're adding to it appropriately, but just be quiet and see what your lowest level is there. And realize that's a pixel number that you want to get up to 75. So we're going to say plus 23. Maybe even adjust that a bit more. And then have it go into there. So now when I'm quiet, the mouth still seems to curve upwards, which we really don't want to do. So let's just try putting this on 35. Okay. So now my mouth is kind of like thin and looks closed when I stop talking. But I noticed that the movement is a little bit sluggish. I guess part of it is if I speak at fairly stable levels of amplitude, we're not going to get big amounts of difference here. Unless we really put in some multiplication here just to make this a bit more. Now, I don't want to, let's try doubling it. Star, multiply it by 2, and then put it over here. How about that? Oh, that means it's also, okay, yeah. It doesn't close then. So, all right. We can fix this with just a little bit more math going on here. How about this? We're going to make a Moses 80. Like basically the way the gains seem to be coming in, the numbers. It's got to cross 80 before we're sure that I am talking. So if it gets to 80 or higher, the number comes out this side, gets multiplied by 2. If it's below 80, it doesn't get multiplied by 2. That's what Moses does. Well, now the 2 multiplication is a little much, I think. Because we want to be able to have it. How about this? Times 1.5. How about that? Yeah, that's better. Oh, yeah! Okay. We can put in another Moses so that when I think I might even do that. So that when, okay, 80, 35 plus that is like 77. So that's close to 80. And now, what number do we get to when I go, ah! Like above 90? Okay. We're going to put one more Moses in here. Moses 90. So here, when it's above 80, it's going to be multiplied by this much. But when it's above 90, we want it to be multiplied by something a bit more. Let's do ×2 on this one. And plug that in. We're also going to do something else with that above 90 business. Okay, so let me see what numbers I'm at now. Or it would show me here. Da-da! Oh, but that's adding 35 to everything. Just to make the pixel count better. Hold on, let's do this. Let's do this. Because here I'm thinking more about amplitude values. We'll add that 35 at the end. So amplitude values. Quiet is like, here, let's say above 50. Okay, and then this one we'll leave at 90. And then down here, of course, we need to add 35 to it. So that the pixel amount that it moves is a little bit better. Okay, so here's normal talking voice. A little bit louder. There we go. So we get that exaggerated thing for the louder stuff. So anyway, I'm wondering, fluttering values, if that affecting things too much. And we also have other possibilities here where we could have the sides come in and go out a little bit more. But that would be, that's another task for another time. You know, when classes that I'm doing right now are over, I'm going to be working on patches and building and refining and increasing their potential. But now here's where we want to, like, 90. Yeah. When we get above 90, there's something else I want to have happen. Here's where it determines if it's above 90. Now remember I made that stop blinking. Let's make a trigger bang. Float bang. Basically, when the number is 90 or above, the float will come out here and the number goes through. And the bang will come out here. Here, let's move this over a little bit. And it'd look nicer if I move this down. We got space. I even want my patches to look nice, you know? Okay. And then what's going to happen is we're going to stop blinking. Stop, send, stop blinking. Which will make that 0 message come through. But at the same time, we also want blink on. Now you'll see what this does in just a moment. All right. Come on, you guys. I like to see a little curve in my patch cable. And plus, people looking at this, I want them to be able to see what things are connected to. and these are a little bit close to one another. That may not be easy to tell. Okay, so stop blinking, get set. And we're also going to send blink on. Basically what it means is the automatic randomized blinking will be stopped. And we're going to have the eyes close as if the blink is on. And you'll see what this results in just a moment. Now, we need to also put a trigger bang bang here. No, trigger float bang bang. Because here we want to do the opposite. When it gets below 90, that's when we want to do the opposite, basically. Yeah. Just keep these kind of like in line with each other. There we go. Which means we're going to send a blink off. Okay. And we're going to send we need room for this, so I got to move this over. Stop blinking. No, we're going to start blinking again. So the randomized blinking comes back. Okay. So now, let's look at it. Yeah, we're getting the randomized blinking now and then, just as you would expect, but wait a minute. This should be on the Moses 90. The blinking is coming in. It's getting stopped and getting, turned on as like a steady held blink, but at a lower number than what I wanted. Because right now we shouldn't be crossing 90. We really shouldn't. But we only get the random blinking. Like when I'm talking, it is turning off the blinking and it is going blink on. I only want that for when it gets above 90. That's why I put it on this Moses 90. But I shouldn't be crossing 90 right now, so I don't know why it's doing this. Did I put in something wrong here? Or when blink off, that opens the eyes, and this starts the blinking again. Let me look at my sub patch up there. Yeah, now it's like just blinking whenever I'm talking in a normal voice. It shouldn't be getting above 90. But the thing is, anytime it's below 90, it is sending these things. These things may be getting sent unnecessarily. But I need something like when it crosses 90, this stuff needs to start up again. But it's like constantly sending start blinking and blink off. When it gets above 50. So yeah, whenever I get above 50, um, hmm, 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 hmm. It looks like, okay, I need to put in something that these only get sent if this has recently been sent. You know what I mean? Like these shouldn't be like banged all the time. Right now, anything that's above 50 and below 90, these are getting sent. And I guess that interrupts, starting the blinking is sending that one message to the eyes, turning it on, and this send for blink off should just be opening the eyes. Blink on is here for opacity 0. Blink off is here for opacity 1. Let me see up here. We're almost there. Almost got it. But it's good to see how to troubleshoot things. Receive, start blinking, and receive, stop blinking. So what happens here is it turns on Metro. And this is getting banged like every time. I guess that what it means is it keeps starting. Each time I talk, it keeps starting Metro from the beginning again. And so it may not ever get to the point where this stuff happens. It just keeps starting from the beginning. And of course, never quite gets there. But, also at the same time, the blink on message is being sent. So the eyes should be appearing, but, this random stuff gets started here and blink gets sent on. Oh, wait a minute. No. Yeah, this is blink off. So, well, hmm. Yeah, there's one thing I can do here to handle this. First of all, one thing I'll do, at least for these, is instead of making this a trigger float bang bang, let's just have one outlet for the bang. That bang can go to two things, but it'll just make things easier for what we're going to add right now. Although what I'd like to do is move the patching upwards so we have more room to do it. I'm going to try and get rid of a little extra space here. Okay. Let's move you up. Just give us a little more space. And yeah, we do want to have the number box there right now as we're debugging stuff to see what numbers we are getting. Okay. This is how it's going to be. And actually, we are going to put in an extra bang here, because we're going to put in an extra bang over there also. Okay. And give them, no, just one cable for these two. Basically, what we're going to do is put on these guys a spigot. And I'll give it a default argument of 0. Now, both of these guys are going to receive the same bang. I mean, they're supposed to turn on for the same reason anyway. So, okay. Spigot allows things to come through it when it has a 1 sent to its right inlet. When a 0 is sent to its right inlet, or when it's first created, it starts with a 0, if you put it in, then it closes and doesn't let anything through. Basically, we actually want to do this the opposite way, because this will happen first. Basically, when the level goes below 90, that bang will get through to these two guys first. And then the second thing will be to close the spigot, so we don't keep sending more bangs. Unless, and that's where we're going to put a 0 in this message box and hook it up. I know this is probably getting a little bit cramped here. Yeah, 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 yeah. But here, if I put it over here, if I put it up here, people can at least see where patch cables are going. Okay, and then we're going to have a 1 message for opening the spigot. Now, when does it get opened? When it crosses above 90. So I'm going to put an extra bang on this. When it crosses above 90, this becomes opened, meaning the spigot will allow things through, but it'll only happen when, after cross 90, that something below 90 happens. Okay, so let's turn this stuff off here. Okay, so we have our normal blinking randomized, right? Yeah. This happens every now and then, like it's supposed to. Yeah. But now when I speak really loud, oh no, it blinked. I guess I didn't go above 90 or something. Yeah, warning, I do have to do this kind of loud just to go above 90 and make this work. 90. Let's make it, instead of 90, let's make it 85. you'll probably have to look at your gain levels here to see what works best for the levels that you're getting, to pick your thresholds for the Moses objects. Sorry, I had to mute myself there for a cough. I'm like using my voice poorly, I think. So anyway, yeah, here in the normal talking ranges, I have periodic blinks, and the mouth looks appropriate. But when I get loud, the eyes stay closed, because that's what you do when you get loud. Close your eyes and just scream. Okay. So, yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so now what I can do with this, since the smiley is in its own window, not going to have to do it this way for now, but basically, if I were, since I have two displays, if I were going to use this for something, I'd do a Windows capture with OBS, which I'm using to record here. Capture this window. There's a transform on that capturing of the window that would kind of cut out the top two, what do you call those? The menu bar and all that stuff. And then you could put a background in, like even a background image would be cool. Maybe as a different data structure or something like that, put in a background image. Or, you could also go up to your GUI and invert the colors and all that stuff. Although that would change your yellow face, I think, too. Probably make it green or something. But anyway, let's just note that there's more you can do this. Actually, you could even just use Path to draw a much better looking face than this. But we're starting with the basics. And so anyway, yeah, so you can kind of full screen this and, crop out the menu bar and all that. Maybe put a background image in that's like, let's see, 1920 by probably like 10, instead of 1080, 1040, because this is about 40 pixels worth of menu bar up here. Of course, you'd find that out when you crop them out. And so that way you could have a background image covering up the whole field here. And, it would look cool with this face right in the middle. In fact, let me try that real quick here. It isn't going to take me long to do this. Let me get my tree background thing that I have. That's under websites, graphic content, backgrounds. Here they are. But I am going to take them back over here and rename it to just simply background. Now you could load it in as a new data structure, which would be more advisable, because the current smiley data structure is centered at 0, 0, right here, and it would take all sorts of finagling to figure out other stuff. But another thing that can be done, Pd-L2Ork does have an image option right here. You can make a second data structure too, but you would want to make another subpatch. Here, let me try that. I hope it does JPEGs. Before I did PNG. let's say here, PD background. Then if you're using per data, this will be a way of doing it. But let's put in a struct background float X, float Y. Okay, and then we put in an object, draw image, and it's called background.jpg. Okay, so let's try this. Let's try it. Go into edit mode, Control 1. Let's put in, what's it called, background. All right. Now I need to right click on background and say, send to back. There we go. So this definitely looks a little bit better. I'm making my own. Here, there we go. There we go. And then, yeah, like I said, in OBS, you can crop things out. I don't know that I can do that right now. Let me see. What is the Windows name? It's face. Because we type PD face, this subpatch is named face. But that's good. If it lets me add to my scenes over here in OBS, I can basically window capture. And we're going to call it face. You don't see this because it's off screen for you. I have it on a second display, but yeah, I was able to select it, and that's what's showing now. Now the thing is, it's still in my preview here. It looks like it still has a menu bar in it, so that I could take care of. Right now I have face on top, and that's what you're seeing is my new thing. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of menu bar at the top. It's not showing the window border, but a little bit of menu bar up there. So let me crop that a little bit. In OBS, you can right click on your scenes and go to, let's see here, go transform. Sorry that this is taking a little bit, but here, go transform. Is there somewhere where I could just go to transform to do it? I want to do a crop on it. So oh, that's transition. That's not even transform. I'm sorry. You're not even seeing what I'm doing on screen. I'm sorry. Here, let me pause the video and then I'll fix this. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, it worked. I was able to crop out a bit of that menu bar there that was still being shown. And Yeah, so this is something I could set up now as another scene. That if I ever want to use my interactive talking face instead of a webcam, I could do so. Ah! Yeah. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the episode and learned something. And of course, you can make much more complex faces than this, involve images and all sorts of things to do cooler stuff than what I have shown you. But at least you get a little bit of the basics down. Yeah, mouth movements can be made to be a little bit more complex, I think. You even have EQing in there to kind of like trigger different sideways velocities and all that. Okay, I'm going on. Blah, 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 blah. Take care. Stay free.